Welcome to the Real Estate Jam session. Today we're going to focus on residential real estate agents and how to build your business. My guest, Bryan Casella, has been a very successful residential real estate agent, mentor, and influencer for about 9 years now. So he has a lot of tips and tricks to really help us build our business as well as our social. So make sure you check out the video, and while you're there, give us a like. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Joe Killinger. I've been a real estate entrepreneur for over 20 years. And I use this channel to really bring guests on like Bryan and have us walk through what has worked well for them, what has failed for them, and what they learned from those failures. So there's a lot to learn on this channel if you want to be a real estate agent or a real estate investor. So make sure you go up to this video, give us a like, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe. So Bryan, thank you for coming on today. I love your story about moving. I mean, to be as successful as you are by relocating from Southern California to Florida, that's in itself, it's not that easy to move from place to place, from city to city, right? So I think if you could kind of give us your background, and I know you've been in business about 9-10 years now. You do coaching. I think if you could kind of give us your background of how you started in California, then transitioned to New York, take a couple of minutes to do that so we can get your background, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I came from a basketball career and decided to get into real estate back in 2012 and 13 when I finally got licensed. And, the mentality that I had coming in was very just old school, because it was the same approach that I took in basketball. Just learn the fundamentals, master those, and keep working them every day. And that's what I did to build my business and the base in Southern California. Then I built my team. And 2 years ago, once I really decided to make this move, I had to start the transition. So I built my business primarily with prospecting. We did well. I happened to document what I was doing on social media. The social media started exploding. So on both fronts, I started having a lot of growth. And, me making the move out here to Florida, it wasn't easy necessarily, but I'd already set myself up to facilitate it a little bit. I had already expanded my personal team to being nationwide prior to moving, and I already had a ton of agents in Florida already actively selling from Miami all the way up to Central Florida, Lakeland, Tampa, Orlando, and even up past that. So I was in a position that I had placed myself to facilitate the move. But coming back here, getting new agents here, establishing myself here, it was a lot of the same things, but those fundamentals are so built and ingrained into me now that it's just basically like rewinding and pressing repeat,
Yeah. It's just redoing it all over again at a different location. So rinse and repeat, right?
Absolutely.
But now, what made you get started in residential real estate?
Well, after my second injury and surgery, basketball kind of became a very difficult thing for me to give up, but I knew I had to. Working in college and getting a taste of working like a 9 to 5, and even with my scholarship, I had to we had work study, which basically means you have to work on campus or have some sort of job on campus. Right away, I noticed I didn't like the 9 to 5 thing. I was always showing up early, working harder, staying late, and other people weren't doing that. They had I'm going to do barely enough to get by mentality. And I didn't like that because we're being compensated the same. So right then, they planted the seed, hey, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So once I got out of my basketball career, I didn't even look at a regular career. I said, okay, what type of businesses can I own? What can I start? Even though I have no experience, this is the route that I want to go. And I, tried a lot, experimented. And finally, when I looked at real estate, it just made sense to me, right? I knew I didn't have the background, the experience, the sales skills, or any of that. However, I said, hey, this can be learned. If I take the same mentality and approach that I took to basketball, like I mentioned earlier, I can crack this code. It's not that difficult. And after meeting with the broker and basically getting the rundown from him, I said, okay, let's do it. And I just saw so much potential in real estate, not only to develop myself, but to also, grow and thrive in a career that in my mind, even at that time, I saw was limitless. You can start as a real estate agent and you can become an investor, or I can, do something else if I want. Mm-hmm. And it just gives me a lot of power and freedom that most other, careers would never give you. And the most interesting thing to me was, I remember asking the broker, I said, so if I come in and I make 4 or 5 sales my first month or two, I'm getting paid on 4 or 5 different transactions and getting commission checks? He's like, yeah. I was like, sign me up. Right. Whereas most people have the mentality of, oh, I can't do it because blah, blah, blah. I immediately saw the potential in it. And I said, yeah, the negatives are there. The potential of not being successful is always there, but there's so much on the other side that I have to take this and run with it. Otherwise, I think I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. And that's ultimately what got me into the business and really made me go 100% full time.
Well, the number one thing that you said that it rung in my ear was doing the basics. You know, you had to start from, you knew where you had to start from. You know, so like in sports, you've got to start from the beginning, right? And you got to do all the fundamentals and then continue to do them and then grow on them. And it sounds like you've done that. So now, when you got started, how did you start? You just come in and start cold calling, or did you grow up in the area and you had a sphere of influence? How did you make it happen? How did you hit the ground running?
Yeah, my original kind of mentor and help in my first Century 21 office was Nelson Sanchez, right? Shout out to him. He was very old school Mike Ferry, right? Like he had studied with Mike Ferry. He was coached by Mike Ferry. And so were some of the agents in my office. Not all of them, but I would say probably half or 75% of the bigger producers were. And we were I think we were a top 5 or 10 in the nation for Century 21. So my office, even though it wasn't like, hundreds of agents, it was very productive. And I gravitated towards him because of his personality type. And he was very encouraging to me, right? One of the few people who was actually encouraging to me when I started. And even though we didn't get much time, he really told me, hey, everything I'm handing to you, these scripts and these things, don't even question it, just do it. So me coming in, I saw him as the coach, and whatever he was handing to me, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I started, studying my scripts. I was role playing about an hour and a half or 2 hours every day, either with people I met online via phone or, people in my office if I could find them. And I just stuck to the traditional stuff. I didn't have too many people that I knew. So I wrote my sphere of influence, which was like 40 or 50 people. And my primary modes of attack was the traditional prospecting, cold calling and door knocking. And I just did it, rinse and repeat every day. I was probably door knocking around 3 hours a day and calling for another 2 or 3. So it was pretty hardcore. But in my mind, I was handed that blueprint and told to run with it. And what I did that I think was the correct thing that a lot of agents mess up with, especially new agents or transitioning people from a regular job to real estate, is they put their emotions in the front, and I'll be the first to admit, cold calling and door knocking that many hours every day does not emotionally feel good or satisfy you, especially in the beginning when you're getting tossed around and you're not that good. But over time, that to me is the cheat way, in quotes, even though it's not, to build your skills, build your confidence, and really hit the ground running. Because a couple months into the game, we're 3-6 months in, I'm already feeling really good on listing appointments and with buyers. I feel well versed. I don't feel like a rookie. With the things that are coming out of my mouth don't sound like a new agent. They sound polished. And that to me is the key. And that's what allowed me to build that foundation and then start growing from there.
Yeah. That's the thing, is it sounds like where you just threw yourself into it, you had to know the market. With knowing that market better than anybody else brings a lot of confidence, right? You knew what was on the market. You know how long it had been on the market. And that makes for easy conversations when you're cold calling or door knocking.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm boots to the ground. I would tell that to sellers. You may look at me like I'm new. You're right. But who else is out there knocking on doors, previewing homes, and taking a physical look at all these properties? Every, comparable that I brought to you, I personally toured and looked at. Did the other agents that you talked to do that? And it'd be crickets after that, right? But that's what gave me that confidence. And after a while, I started realizing, man, all these fictitious narratives that I created in my mind about people distrusting me or people looking at me funny because I was new, all that stuff started going away because I was accumulating so many reps talking to people. I said, hey, the average person just wants what they feel is a solid agent. They're not caught up in these conversations that I'm having in my head. But the more conversations I had over the phone and at the door, the more I was realizing, hey, what I thought it was going to be like is way different. The reality is a lot better. And as I got better at it, I had more fun. Because ultimately, I tell people, when you get better at this thing, it is fun. It's grueling in the beginning. But after you find that flow and you get better, it's actually really fun to get out there and shake hands and make phone calls, because now you have a skill set behind it, right? Now, if you find somebody who's interested, you have a really good shot at least getting an appointment and sitting in front of them.
Yeah, if you know your market better than anybody else, people want to talk to you because you're bringing value, right? If you know everything going on in that marketplace, people, it's critical that you learn that market, because then people will want to talk to you. Now, how long were you into your career before you really started using social media?
I I would say almost immediately because I was
Okay.
probably only a few months in. I think I got officially licensed somewhere in the summer of 2013.
Okay.
So it's been about 9 years now that I've been licensed. And I think within 3 to 4 months of that, I was actively posting on social media. Maybe not every day, but I was mindful of it because I was always looking for maybe a better response rate or a better way to connect with somebody. And I noticed whenever I would shoot a video, and I just did this as an experiment, I would shoot a video and send that video as like a follow up to a customer. Almost always I would get a text reply, a call back, right? Like my response rate was so high. I
Yeah.
said, okay, there's something to this video thing. So
Mhm.
my angle wasn't, I want to blow up on social media and be this cool rock star, famous guy. It
Right.
was, hey, this has a particular effect on people and I need to take advantage of it. So that was my angle. And I started putting stuff out mainly for that, but also just to share my journey.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that I really didn't have much encouragement. Everyone who I knew, close family and friends, nobody supported me doing real estate and they all said I was crazy.
Yeah.
So in a way, in an immature way, we can say, I guess I had like a chip on my shoulder and I almost wanted to prove to people,
Yeah.
hey, I'm here and I'm not going to be denied. So me putting out the videos not only was a way for me to grow my social media, but in my mind, I was showing everybody like, hey, I'm going to be successful. Watch me. And those were really the two reasons that I started getting on it. It wasn't until a couple of years later that I really, buckled down and put my seatbelt on and said, okay, we really need to push the social media thing because there's a lot of power behind it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was looking at your social, man. You've got 40 some thousand on Instagram, and you've really connected well. And it's really, do you do more content creation, or do you kind of post on all your social, um, your day to day? I see you do a little bit of both on Instagram, but I don't know what you're doing on the rest.
Yeah. I mean, it morphed. And I would say the first 2 or 3 years, I wasn't really doing like straight up content creation or anything like that. I
Right.
was just sharing with people my journey.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better back then. I didn't know for like a year that you could put tags on videos. I would just post a video, like I was very naive in that sense. It was just a way for me to hold myself accountable, but also show the world, hey, this is what a new real estate agent does. Because in my mind, I remember seeing all the $1 million listing shows and I'm like, that's cool. But nobody has this raw side of it, this real side of
Right.
it, being like a youngster in a big city with no experience, starting going door to door and cold calling, right? Whereas
Yeah.
people think we just wear nice suits and get phone calls to go list homes. They
Yeah.
don't know the grind of building a business, especially when you have no support and you're younger. So
Right.
I think that's really what attracted people in the beginning was I was just very vulnerable. I was very transparent that I was new. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just took people along with me on that ride and on that journey. It wasn't until probably around year 3, 4, where people were requesting help. Hey, do you have any videos or products on how to door knock or how to be a better cold caller, or how to handle objections? Do you do coaching? It wasn't until I started hearing that a lot that I started shifting it a little bit,
Yeah.
because in the beginning, I was like, just do what I do. Like, why do you need me to coach you? Just copy what I did.
Yeah.
Um, but after I got 50, 100, 200 requests, I said, okay, maybe there's something here, not just from a business standpoint, but
Right.
hey, if people really want it, why not do it? And,
Yeah.
and that's kind of really what sparked that shift. Whereas now it's different. I'm not a, solo agent with boots to the ground anymore. I have like a nationwide team. We're in 17 states. I mean, it's a little different now, but I do my best now to push my team members and
Sure.
pushing their day to day. So there's a lot of references to them getting listings, them cold calling, them out there door knocking. I try to be kind of like a vehicle for them to grow their social media by me attracting more attention to them on an individual basis.
Yeah. It's fun when you do that mentoring. I watched one of your videos, Stop Cheating the Process. And I thought I was watching it and I'm like, man, we have a commercial brokerage here in Los Angeles, Commercial Brokers International, and I'm a partner in that. So we do a lot of training. And you're so right on point with that video. It's just like you got to do the fundamentals. You got to start there, and then you start building from there, and then you'll see this transformation into this, more confidence. Um, you know, Getting out, speaking to more people, and then you start to see the success coming, right? And so I'm actually going to put the link to that video, I think, at the bottom of this, because I think it's pretty spot on. And I talked to a lot of residential managers of for some of the offices around us here in West LA. And, people think they're going to come in and get on this thing and they're going to build a business this way. That's all they're going to do is get on Instagram or TikTok and Facebook. And, I'm going to make money this way. No, you're not. Shut $1 million listing off. It's like you're saying, you've got to do that. You've got to start with the fundamentals and build your business from there.
Yeah. And even if somebody was to bypass the fundamentals and suddenly get given some deals and some success, they're going to come crashing down very quickly because they didn't build on the proper foundation and fundamentals. And it always comes back. It's the same thing if we grab an athlete or, someone like that or an actor and we throw them in with the big dogs, they're going to get chewed up and spit out very quickly.
So true, isn't it? I think, who knows what's going to happen with the economy right now, but if you haven't done the fundamentals, if you haven't built that and you don't understand, it's going to get hard. Those are the people who are going to drop out in this, if it does slow down as much as it possibly could here in the next few months or year. Those are the people going to be first out of the business because they don't know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
It's guys like you that have put the fundamentals in place. You built this team that's utilizing the fundamentals that are going to succeed. There's still going to be deals going out there, especially in your markets that you're in. And people are going to look to you. They're not going to be looking to the person just posting pretty photos on their social.
That's what I tell people is a real security, regardless of market conditions, is those fundamentals and your skills, because you can always fall back on those and rely on those. Yeah.
But Bryan, can you give us and I know we're very unscripted here, right? So can you give us a few tips of, if I'm a new agent getting in the market right now, how should I really get started? Can you give me like 3 or 4 or 5 tips that you think would be the best avenue to get me started?
Yeah, there's a lot you can do.
Right.
First, I would say you have to really be clear on, and this is kind of like, real estate 101. First, I would help somebody, or I would recommend that they create like a business plan for themselves, because everybody coming into the business is different. Are you looking to get in here and become a millionaire real estate agent where you make millions of commissions? Or are you just looking to do this part-time and make an extra 20, 30,000 a year and do 2 transactions? Yeah. The approaches for both of those individuals is going to be far different, right? Yeah. So that's the first piece is this business plan. Number 2, based on your business plan, I'm going to recommend that you create some sort of working document that's like a schedule just to get you started. Where are we going to start? When's your day going to begin? When is it going to end? And let's make sure we map out exactly what's going on throughout the whole day, right? Number 3, we have to create a system for you to lead generate. What are you going to do for lead generation? Obviously, being a new agent, seeing that you have more time than you do money in most cases, I'm going to recommend that you prospect, right? Go door to door, make some phone calls. That's going to be a way for you to get out there belly to belly and over the phone, meet people, talk to people, potentially find leads. And then from there, we can feed it into your system, which is the 4th piece. You need to create some sort of system. I would say your system first starts with the definition of what a lead is to you. Is a lead someone who's going to buy or sell in 30 days? Is this somebody who's going to buy or sell in 60, 90 days? What is that? And then from there, we can build out this system and say, okay, from here, we have your lead follow-up system, which then ties into your database. How are you going to divvy up your database, right? You have to put all these pieces in place, but if there's going to be any work that you do aside from the prospecting, it's going to be that creating the business plan, putting your systems together, right? Which nowadays there's a ton of softwares for that. Yeah. Your schedule, right? Lead generation, and then taking it from there. Those are 4, I think, fundamental things that need to be done and squared away, because once those things are in place, now you can work every single day. And yes, you're going to learn the market and all those other things, but it's built upon that foundation. This will allow you to start bringing leads in, converting them, bringing money into your business. And now we have something that we can build upon.
Yeah. And follow-up is another one that I always tell is, you've done all this work to generate these leads, build up a system to do follow-up, because it's expensive to go find these leads, maybe not just financially, but time-wise. And so follow-up and, that's always key for us.
Absolutely.
So, well, Bryan, thank you for coming on the show today. I just think I really love checking out your YouTube channel, and I'll put all the links to your social in down below so everybody can reach out to you. Appreciate you taking the time to come on today, and hopefully everything in Florida keeps flying for you.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You bet. And for those of you watching, make sure you go check out this video, give us a like. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe.